Right, so I suppose the main questions that I wanted to ask have been answered, but there were some places where I wanted to get a bit more into the nitty-gritty of things. And that is I've noticed a substantial change between the way that Dead Space's music has progressed throughout the different installments. What first really got to me is that Dead Space 1 was more chaotic in its approach, from my end at least. Dead Space 2 sort of started to have different, I don't know how to describe it, more musical aspects to it. So I was hearing different build-ups, different, not motifs, but patterns in rhythm, in maybe notes, that to me felt like maybe a slight change in approach. Was that a conscious decision? Is that something that you tended towards to, for example, Isaac's theme? So that you also feature in the last cue on the Dead Space 2 album, which is I think it's called Lacrimosa, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
So in that, there's a substantial motif that's used throughout the game, whereas I think with Dead Space 1, I didn't hear as much of a drastic, all right, this is a theme, this is really easily recognizable. Is that, like I said, conscious decision on your part, or did the dev team say, okay, we want something a bit more action-oriented, or maybe something... Well, to me, it sounded like a bit of mixture, tending towards the Don Davis and the Williams-style orchestrations. If that makes any sense?
That all makes total sense, and it's from... So the musical idea for Dead Space 1 was essentially, how do I turn the orchestra into a necromorph? How can I make an orchestral necromorph? And necromorphs don't have a plan. They don't have like a strategy to do anything. They're pretty much just like, go after it and kill it. It's very single-minded,
simple but effective.
Base level, yeah. Kill. And the idea is the music is sort of coming from Isaac's perspective. So he's basically going, what is going on here? And he's thrown into the middle of it and has no idea how to handle it and is pretty much panicking like the entire time, except for the very beginning of the game and that one point that we mentioned at the very end of the game where he kind of gets into the ship and relaxes for about 30 seconds. So that's where you hear a melody of some sort, kind of the main theme for the game, but it does not appear in any of the cues, because those are just Isaac going, ah, like trying to figure out what to do, essentially. And with the second game, it's kind of like when I came back to do the recording sessions for Dead Space 2, I was sort of Isaac in a way, because I'd already been through the first Dead Space, and I knew what I did that I liked, I knew what I did that I didn't like, and I also didn't want to do the exact same score as the first Dead Space, even though there was, zero input in a good way from EA. Just, you do what you... Just keep doing what you're doing, Jason. So the string quartet was a part of his character, but also the idea that these necromorphs were not just some unnatural, unknown entity in the game running around willy-nilly. They were actually created. There's a specific thing behind them. A lot of it goes into the lore of the game and the story that came around in Dead Space 2. And the fact that I wanted the action music especially to be kind of more pointed. So it's less swirly and dissonant, like you said. It's more action, more kind of rhythmically intense and a little faster. And there was a theme that I wrote for the necromorphs that it doesn't play in a specific piece as a standalone theme, but it's just a descending chromatic line, just a bum, 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 played just like that, where it's always just quarter notes or, you know, something going along with the beat. And it never changes rhythm. It's always very steady and sort of unsettling, because the chromatic line falling down makes it feel like you're sort of losing your feet from underneath you. And the main theme that was basically Isaac's theme, the bum 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 bum, which is D E A D, but it's D flat, E natural, A flat, D natural. So I wanted to get that tritone in there from A flat to D at the end, but I love the idea of taking D E A D and basically just hammering it through the whole entire score. And the interesting thing about it is it never changes notes. So if the cue is in a different key, it's still doing D flat, E natural, A flat, D. It's always those same 4 notes. And it's that way in the Lacrimosa string quartet as well. But I take it, what is originally a solo statement in the cello, I think, at the beginning of the quartet, at the very end, I reharmonize it. And it's still the same notes, but now I'm making it a lot more tonal and putting minor and major chords around it, you know, with some little pointy harmonies here and there. But it becomes this sort of beautifully dark kind of quartet piece at the end, which is sort of in line with the resolution of the game. So, I mean, I produced it differently as well. The first Dead Space had a lot of reverb on it, more than I think it needed to have, but I was feeling very insecure about the production, because this was basically me making a sample library of sounds and then using that sample library to compose pieces of music. So there's so many like responsibilities there that I wish I didn't have to take on, because if any one of them was not carried out well, you know, the whole structure sort of falls apart. And with the second one, I felt a little more confident in knowing that the samples were going to sound the way I wanted. The production could be a little tighter. There was less reverb. And to me, that gives it a more sense of being up close and sort of in your face. So definitely a lot less reverb on Dead Space 2 than Dead Space 1. And when you combine that with, you know, more action-oriented things, you know, a little bit of harmony thrown in there, and the string quartet, I think that's a nice progression, I felt at the time, from Dead Space 1 to Dead Space 2, to sort of continue the story in the same spirit of the first one, but, you know, expanding the universe, musically speaking.